Hey, this is George.
Hey, this is Fred.
This is Real Talk with George and Frazier. What's going on, brother?
What's up, brother? How you doing? See, you
Oh
got
man,
a load out.
I see. Got tightened up a little bit. Don't worry, I'm gonna get mine done shortly. You know,
No worries. You just flip the. I got a beard on low. You got to go on top.
well, you know how we do, man. We always try to stay, above the fray. That being said, man, listen, I am excited about this show. We have a very, very, very important guest. We always have bangers. This man is a president, I believe, of a soccer team, and on top of that, he's been in VC
I
and
hear
venture capital. Rugby, rugby.
Rugby.
I
Say
apologize.
rugby.
That's right. That's right. Go ahead. Correct me. President of a soccer
Yeah,
team.
it is.
That's right. That's right. And rugby team, and he's doing big things. He's started venture capital companies. Let's just bring him right into the show and get this going. Don, welcome to Real Talk.
What's going on,
Hey,
brother?
thank you for having me, guys. When I first saw George and Fraser, I thought George Foreman and Joe Fraser invited me on the show. So I figured this must be good.
Absolutely. Listen, we greatly appreciate it. We love having business professionals on the show to be able to help educate our community in certain things. And tell the fans and the listeners a little bit about yourself and your bio. Every time Fraser and I try to do it, we butcher it.
No worries at all. Well, first of all, I'm calling in from the south of France, southwest France, in a small city of Sarlat. That's Sarlat. That's halfway between Bordeaux, the wine region, on the west side, and southeast Toulouse. So in the far, if you placed us on the U.S. map, we would probably be somewhere in Arizona or New Mexico,
Oh, okay.
right? So like for positioning purposes. So I spent a quarter century in the U.S. on the West Coast in Los Angeles. I am from France originally, moved back to France in 2018 with the sole purpose of launching a startup incubator and accelerator called Uniqorn with a Q. We've done that. We went during COVID from 8 people to roughly 50 people. So we're very busy. 50 people from 27 different nationalities. I might add, primarily actually female versus male, which is a rarity in our space, in the technology space. So very, very diverse. I also personally took control over the local semi-professional rugby team.
Yes.
Yeah, see, there you go.
The rugby team with the salamander. That's our local animal down here on the ball itself. It's a suture.
Nice.
The rugby team, as you can tell, was founded in 1903, so we didn't start yesterday. It's 118 years old.
Nice.
Even though inside the Unicorn incubator, we'll call it the 118-year-old startup. Because if you know anything about amateur sports, as the name indicates, it tends to be amateur. Yeah. And what we're actually been working on very hard over the last year and a half to 2 years is to basically take it to the pros, both in terms of branding, in terms of image, as well as on the pitch. Obviously, you need to have a balance between the two. I'm from northeastern France. What we have a saying is that you can dope up a donkey as much as you want. He's never going to win a horse race. That's right. So ultimately, that donkey needs to perform. Right.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to call it a donkey because it was a decent team to begin with, but we're basically stepping it up a few notches, both on and off the field.
Nice. So I have a lot of questions. I really do. Having somebody of your caliber here on the show, I just go right through it. But let's start with sports. What got you into rugby? And like you said, it was a good team to start with, but what led you into that?
So I did not grow up with rugby. So in France, rugby is huge in France, but soccer is game number one. Hence, we won the World Cup, the last World Cup, and of course, you're going to win the next one. Let's be straight about that. But I grew up.
You heard it here first.
Grew up as a massive soccer fan. My dad played semi-professional soccer as well. So I always followed the French national team on the rugby side. But coming back from the U.S., setting up the incubator, I had in France. In France, you're going to do your books internally, so you have to have an official accountant, CPA. And everybody referred to me to the former president of the rugby team, Jean-Luc Monchon, who's a very close friend of mine. I went to see him. I walk into his office, rugby balls, memorabilia all over the world. You know what you would expect to see if you go to a former retired NFL player on the rugby side.
Right.
I'm like, well, that's pretty interesting. Tell me more about that. And I said, and he tells me, since you're going to be my client, you have no choice. You're going to be a rugby sponsor. All right, okay. I have no idea what that means, but count me in.
Right.
So in 2018, I was a small sponsor. In 2019, I became the largest sponsor of the team. And early COVID, he contacted me, and they had some trouble, primarily financial. I said, look, we're pretty much dire straits right now, no games. The clock is running. The expenses are still running. Would you be willing to help us out at the larger level? I said, well, what does that mean? Dollars and cents. And he showed me a little figure. I said, well, this is no longer a friendly deal now. Now we have to talk shop. We have to talk business. I want to think about it for a couple of days, come back to you. He said, fair enough. I came back. I said, look, I'm willing to do it under the condition that we meet these 17 conditions, right? This is what I want to see happen. Number one, I don't want to just jump into the fray and stay at the same level, because otherwise the investment is stale, right? I want to shoot for the stars. We're going to do whatever we can to actually reach that level. I want to reach basically the pros within 5 to 6 years, 5 to 6 seasons.
That's right.
And he said, well, that's probably a little aggressive. I said, well, I don't think so. I've done my research. I think we can do it again, as long as we meet the other 16 conditions on the same sheet. Better coach, better players, better everything, right? And we really don't. So we started that process, I'd say, about a year ago. We're starting training camp for the new season July 1st. As in the US, everybody's going through the vaccination rounds. At May 10th, I'm going to be called in because I'll officially on May 18th be 51. So now I qualify for the vaccine for some reason.
Okay.
I'm old enough. I'm old enough to know better. And we're looking really forward. We have a very diverse crew, top-notch players from a variety of countries, although you're only allowed to have 2 foreign licenses on the match sheet, which is a little struggle, because if you really want to build a highly competitive team, you have to do it mostly with homegrown French national talent,
Right.
which, again, France is ranked, I think, number 3 in the world right now in terms of rugby. So, we do have great players. And for those of you who I assume are primarily NFL football fans, the easiest way to play rugby, to explain rugby to an American usually is by telling him, look, it's football without the pads.
That's right.
And you have to move forward by throwing the ball backwards.
Right.
Right?
We love that. We should play it when I was growing up. We would love that. I went.
But you guys got a great burgeoning league, the MLR, Major League Rugby, which is really starting to getting a lot of traction. So you have the Los Angeles Giltinis, for example, in LA, which just hired Matt Gitto, late career, one of the top players ever in the game of rugby, who plays for the Giltinis. I think they're 5-0 so far. You got the Austin Gilgronis out of Texas. Yeah, you got the New England Jacks. I mean, it's really starting to gain steam. And I think that once the sport becomes more publicized, more mediatized, I think knowing what you guys love in terms of contact sports, there's nothing better, right? You got the hard hits, again, without the pads. You have monsters on the field. I shouldn't say that, because you have every morphology can play rugby depending on the position, right? So from the number 9, the little guy, our he's so little, if you were here you wouldn't even see him, right? But he's so fast at the same time. 2, obviously, the props, who are just like huge necks. I mean, Fraser's a prop, right?
That's right.
No question. So if you showed me his picture right now and you asked me what position does he play, it's the beard alone gives it away. He's a prop, right?
Right.
So
speed come in handy too now.
That's true. Head first into the scrum. Whereas you, George, you would be the winger / wide receiver, right?
Okay,
that's just me just looking at overall morphology, etc. Man, which basketball player do you remind me of? Damn it. It'll come to me during the course of the
interview.
Point guard that played for the Pistons. Come on.
Isaiah
Thomas. Yeah.
That's what easy with
Pistons. Yes or no? Fraser, yes or no? Come on.
Well, I give him a little bit. You got to take him on the court though, so you really got to dribble on the handles.
Well, I'm saying without the ball right now. I'm not sure what.
That's right. Without the ball, Fraser. Out the ball, baby. I could be Michael Jordan. You never know, baby.
That is true. That is true. Hey, you ever seen N1? That a guy that Escalade. He was considered one of the best players in N1, and he was
Oh yeah,
big.
for
He
what he
had
did to the
moves.
brand, absolutely. You know, he was
He
he
broke
was
some
very,
ankles in his
very
day.
good on
Now
court.
he probably be a good one.
Very play, very
How
good.
about Muggsy?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, Muggsy. Yeah, I love
yeah,
Muggsy, man. Spud
absolutely.
Webb, this short, but dunking on everybody. I love that guy.
And
He
he
was
can
dunking.
still
He was
dunk.
dunking. He was what 5'2", 5'3", and it was dunking. That's
Yeah,
insane.
Yeah, that
but
was
Spud
crazy.
Webb can still dunk. He can still dunk a ball after all that time.
Really?
So it's definitely, oh yeah, it's
Now?
definitely all good. I saw a video on YouTube. I couldn't believe it. He took
No,
his
With
no,
a
no.
coat suit off. Took
little
his coat
disclaimer, with a trampoline.
Exactly. Only him on that one. He
No
got to
doubt, no
Even
doubt.
I can dunk with a trampoline.
That's true. It's
easily.
absolutely true.
He took over, come back
So
to the end.
that being said, you've lived in the United States for a while. I just want to stay with sports for a minute because we want to move on to Unicorn real quick. But you've lived in the United States long enough to know what happens in professional sports. Like our biggest sport was football and still is, but maybe 10, 15 years ago, soccer kind of pushed its way in. And so the money and the fame of soccer exploded with leagues. Do you see that probability with rugby? Because the culture is getting very, very, very diverse. And the
Yeah,
demand is there.
it's an excellent question. I think that, in my opinion, obviously motivated opinion as well, because I'm obviously 100% pro rugby, so I'm preaching the choir, right? But I think that the reason why I think rugby has a higher chance of breaking through versus soccer is because if you look at soccer in the US, the women's team is by far better than the men's team. We all know that, right?
Right.
It's the best team in the world, France being number 2. It's not a contact sport. It's a light people think it's not a contact sport. It's a light contact sport. People break their legs and all sorts of crazy injuries, right?
Mm.
But I think for the American mentality, the one that grows up with football, starting at the high school level, collegiate level, or younger. Yeah.
That's right.
I mean,
Pee
yeah.
Wee
I mean,
football, Pop Warner. Yes, absolutely.
there you go. So in rugby, you have that parallel, right? So we have baby rugby. We're actually just starting a baby rugby concept here at our team, where at 2 years old they come in, they do tumbles, they do a little bit of light contact, et cetera, just to build some motor skills while they're actually growing up, learning to walk, crawl, walk, run eventually.
Yeah.
But I think there is a much higher likelihood for rugby to break through with an North American audience. Same thing with Canada, because they started having a good team. You got the USA Eagles that are really starting to break through on the rugby side as well, because you see that contact. And that's when you grow up with that, it's very difficult. We've all heard that the terms when people refer to soccer. First of all, it's not called football, right? It's called soccer in the US. Everywhere else in the world, it's called football. We've all heard the derogatory terms. We don't have to mention them here, right?
That's right.
But no one would ever use the same terms of rugby. So I have tons, hundreds, thousands of American friends, right, that love football. I show them rugby. They're like amazed. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. Look at that beast, right? Look at that hit, et cetera, et cetera. And no pads. Are you guys crazy, right? So they're really looking for that gladiator style of contact sport. And in my opinion, not even football provides that. Now, football is obviously highly athletic, and more so every single day, where you have 300-pound guys that run 50-meter dash and 4-point, I don't know what,
4.6,
right?
4.2, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
So you have that crazy athleticism for guys that are just like mountain big, but you have that in rugby, right? Rugby is a very, very fast game. The thing that rugby has going against it is that it's very, very technical, right? So we're actually starting to export our content, our game, and our rugby tutorials to the US. And I've spoken to a number of broadcasters in the US, and one of them is a close friend of mine. He said, "Hey, Dom, I love rugby, because obviously we have all sorts of controversies today between NBA, NFL, and whatnot, athletes being politicized, blah, 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 backlash from some users, not from others." I said, I get the remedy. How about a brand new sport, also a contact sport, rugby, right? And he goes, well, yeah, we know rugby, but the problem is only 12%, according to our research, only 12% of Americans know the rules of rugby. And my answer was, perfect, love it. And then I paused. He goes, what do you mean, perfect, love it? Well, we're going to help you solve that problem. We're going to bring our rugby to your audience by way of tutorials.
Mhm.
We're going to explain to them what a throw-in is, what a try is, et cetera, by way of our team. That's what we're starting to do. And the engagement that we're getting, we went, for example, on Facebook, we went from 1,500 fans to 125,000 in the last 4 months.
Yes.
Just by getting the word out there, getting our content out there, showing the athletes, showing all different types of morphology, showing the life behind the athlete, some storytelling involved, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
So I do strongly believe that the rugby will have a much higher chance of succeeding. We're seeing the early innings of that with the MLR, with Major League Rugby. If you follow them on Facebook, on Instagram, et cetera, they started with no one, and now you're seeing some of their highlight reels getting 100,000 views, right?
Yeah.
3 months ago, they had 500 views for that same content, right? And I think you see a lot, we're actually seeing it. For example, I happen to be, Lord forbid, former Oakland Raider fan, not Las Vegas Raider fan. So I'm on a lot of the groups on Facebook, and I share some of our rugby content with them. And literally, I post one highlight. I have 15, 20 new fans, former or still, Raider fans who now also become a rugby fan. Most of them not even understanding the rules of rugby, but they see, wow, this is a cool contact sport. I understand this highlight. Wow, great try, right? And they are very easily convinced. If I did the same thing with soccer content, I will never get there. It would never happen.
Right.
True. That's true though. When I played semi-pro football, one of my teammates, he played rugby. And my problem when I was playing football was that I wasn't allowed to hit nobody. I was only literally allowed not to hit nobody in practice. They say I hit too hard in practice.
And you can tell looking at you, you were very happy about that.
Oh yeah. I used to run out there in practice. So I never get hit no contact till football time, to game time. So he took me over to rugby. He was like, look, I got a sport for you that they won't tell you not hit too hard. They won't tell you, but don't hit nobody. They'll tell you hit people more. Actually, just come and try out. So when I went and tried out, it was different. I ain't gonna lie, it was very different. It was from playing conventional football to rugby. I create more home because I played street ball. So you play street ball, it's just like rugby. You play with no pads. We play on concrete football. We play on concrete, so we ain't like getting tackled.
Right.
So
that's right.
We had no pads on. We knocked the heck out you with no pads on. So that was home for me. I felt like home. Like, whoa, wait, no pads? Nobody can soften up and cry like babies when I hit them? Let's do this. So the first game I played rugby, I hit one guy, and the guy got up, gave me a handshake. Like, good hit. I'm like, bro, I knocked the hell out of you. What are you talking about, bro? Like, you damn near left your feet. You're like, hey, man, that was a hell of a hit. Man, keep it up. Okay, cool. I like this. But then, like I say, like you say, the rules got me. I didn't understand the true technicality of rugby. All I knew was I can run, I can hit, and you got to catch me. And I can block for anybody in front of me.
You kept it to the basics. Sometimes that's the best thing to do.
Yeah. But then when I started learning, I started watching more European rugby. I watched the World Cup and the Olympics when the rugby, when I saw the England team play against a Fiji team. Now, I really saw something amazing in that game. I saw what power and speed could do for you. Could you imagine a big mountain? This man was like 300 pounds. He literally run like 4'2", 4'6". He ran over the English, but they weren't even there. They was scared to even hit this guy. The biggest English guy tried to hit him and got ran like a bowling pin. I'm talking about it was brutal. You probably saw it. You probably saw it too. And that Fiji team, they were laughing at him again.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Fiji, they were a little small country. They nobody. They blew past the French. They blew past the English. They blew past everybody that were contenders. They blew them out of the water.
Yeah, we got one freak athlete Fijian player on our team, Aroni Tuwai. He's a very close friend of mine, so he'll probably watch this by the time I'm done. It is what? I mean, I'm converting into pounds. He's 115 kilos, so about 250 pounds.
Yeah.
I'd say maybe 5'11", 6 feet tall, but try to catch that guy. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Legs like a tree trunk, and the agility and everything that you see, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly. Because when I used to play, I was 400 pounds. I ran a 4.7, and that was just running. On a football field, I was much faster. So I played every position, from offensive line, defensive lineman. I played safety. I played linebacker. And he played running back. I didn't play wide receiver. And the best thing about it was by my size.
Cornerbacks must have loved you.
Huh?
Cornerbacks must have loved you.
Oh, they love me.
Paul.
What? Oh man, I believe my idol was Ronnie Lott. So what I do is I used to hit like Ronnie Lott. I tell people, I'm not playing the ball. I'm playing you. So don't think I'm going for the ball. I'm going to take you out.
Absolutely. Listen, I want to continue this conversation, but we have to transition real quick onto Uniqorn. Tell us a little about your thought process in starting Uniqorn. Was it to compete primarily with Silicon Valley on a global scale? Because sometimes Silicon Valley can be very cagey when it comes to a lot of venture capitalist investment projects or ideals. And sometimes the world stage is kind of left out of that decision making until it overflows like a Facebook or a Google or something like that, to where, you know, or Bill Gates, Microsoft, something like that, to where it just takes over the world and everybody finds out about it later. So what really was your thought process in creating and founding a company like Uniqorn?
You know, when I don't screw around with rugby or sports, I am a lot more serious when it comes to business.
Right.
A lot more rational. So I follow metrics. So the first thing we did is we commissioned a study, and that was already when I was still in the US. And that study showed that before COVID, roughly 17% of young tech entrepreneurs wanted to leave big cities, big metropolitan areas, and to move into a smaller town or even a rural area. I was surprised when I saw that statistic, because I expected that number to be a lot smaller, like 3-4%. I'm like, wow, maybe there's something there, because I myself was thinking about leaving Los Angeles, coming back to France already, and just being more relaxed, not having to deal with the traffic. You know, if I leave at 4:30 a.m., I can do my 10 miles in 10 minutes. If I leave, Lord forbid, at 5:30 a.m., it's going to take me 3 hours on the 405 south, right? And then working my way back, I would spend 6-7 hours on the freeway. And in today's day and age, if you're supposed to have technology leverage, why would you actually put your body through that, your mind through that, of you just coming home exhausted, when technology should allow you to do the opposite? So I think maybe I'm not the only one, hence the commissioning of the study. And then, Lord forbid, COVID hit, and those numbers just went through the stratosphere, because people were locked in at home, more so even in Europe than in the US, because, you know, we have bigger herd mentality over here than in the US, right? Where people are like really trying to behave. The government's telling you to stay at home. Okay, we stay at home. 3 months later, can now peek out of the window. Oh no, the government says you get to close the window again. After a while, you're like, holy cow. So we had literally an onslaught of interest from all around the world, from people just sick and tired, say, get me out of Paris, get me out of London, get me out of New York, etc. How can I, you know, they watched the images online from our region, all like running rivers, beautiful rivers, waterfalls, you know, rock climbing, of course, for red wine, cheese, and whatever else you can hate about France, right? So I should say the food is not too bad either, right? So we got that dynamic coming as well. So basically what we did is said, look, you know, the numbers look like there is a trend from those type of people that we're interested in attracting, wanting to move in a place like the one in which we currently live.
Right.
And boy, were we right? I mean, on a daily basis, we get on LinkedIn alone between 50 and 100 requests from startup entrepreneurs from all over the world. I mean, you name it, places, and I'm well traveled, been in 134 countries personally, but places I've never even heard of. I have to actually look them up. Where is this? Okay.
Right.
Today we have, again, people from 27 different countries inside of Uniqorn. Yes, European countries. Yes, the US. Yes, England. But Ghana, Serbia, India, Sri Lanka, you name it, right? Wide cross section from all over the place. And they get to come into a place where Uniqorn, the incubator, lends them a helping hand to launch the project, bring it to fruition. Now, we're definitely selective also as to who we're bringing in. So we typically only work with young entrepreneurs, young startups that have a proof of concept.
Right.
Usually what I say is that, look, at least show me that you have a marketable product or a service in the technology space. And if you're looking to raise money, at least show me you've been able to convince your grandmother to give you a few bucks before
Right.
you come to us, right?
Right.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like the litmus test, because nobody wants to be the first. At least show me that you have a little bit of grit, determination, resiliency. So I'll give you one crazy example, which happened very, very recently over the past month, where I'm contacted by an entrepreneur from Russia. That's not out of the ordinary. I got quite a few of them. And he's pitching me on his startup. And he goes, I really think I can have an impact on what you're trying to do with Uniqorn. Okay. And I would like to prove it to you. I said, look, sure. Send me a proof of concept, send me something and take a look at. 48 hours later, the doorbell rings and somebody says, there's someone here looking for you. And it's that same kid. I'm like, wait,
Nice.
weren't you just in Russia 48 hours ago? He said, yeah, but I decided to come in person. I'm like, wow. Okay. It's almost summertime. Did you stay at the hotel? No. I rented a place. I live here now. I'm going to stay here as long as it takes to give you the proof of concept that you asked me for.
Wow.
Right? I'm like, okay, well, you get my respect, right?
Yeah.
Hats up to that guy, and I'm all ears. So, we're actually bringing him in right now. What capacity is too early to tell, but definitely there's something going, and the kid is just driven like you wouldn't believe, right? No matter what he's going to do, he's going to succeed, and I've been around those kind of guys long enough to understand what separates the wheat from the chaff. That's what we're looking on very, very early. Not only does he have the brains, but he's got this perfect connection of the brains and actually the EQ and the IQ combination, right? Very often I'd say as a, and I'm still obviously widely an entrepreneur, but I've morphed more into like an angel investor kind of a position,
Right.
where I tend to provide an ecosystem in which entrepreneurs like him can thrive. But very rarely do you see this great combination of EQ and IQ.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
What you see very often are some very, very bright kids. But look, if somebody hits them over the head, it's over, right? They just go into the shell and they never reemerge. And I'm sorry to say, as an entrepreneur, that will happen to you over and over and over. You're going to stumble so many times, right? So yeah. Then on the other side, sometimes you see the ultimate hustlers, but they don't have the IQ, right? You need a good combo, or you need to at least understand that you need a team. So if you're a great hustler, you're typically a great salesperson. Great, because without a sale in any business, nothing happens, right?
Exactly.
We need to make a sale. So that guy needs to align himself with a complementary person, complementary skill set, ideally the opposite of who he is.
That's right.
And as humans, we all have the tendency of avoiding that person because we're want to be buddy. We feels better when somebody's patting us on the shoulder.
Exactly.
We don't want someone who's really challenging us and say, hey guy, you're stupid on this, but let me help you. I can show you how that is done, right? Egos come into play, right? So if I'm an entrepreneur, I need to build a team. If I intend to ultimately scale my project, right? Clearly I intend to scale, or I wouldn't even launch myself into this pain, this world of pain.
Exactly.
When I do that, it's ultimately to succeed. If I'm succeeding, my venture is going to go beyond me, right? You look at every tech company when it first started, whether it's Facebook, Google, YouTube, Twitter, you name it, Instagram, they all started a guy with a crazy idea, right? Started tinkering around, right? Iterating with it. Okay, I think I'm onto something. But very quickly went beyond himself, and very quickly did that entrepreneur have to look for complementary skill sets, right, that he didn't have. So basically what he had to do is he had to build a puzzle, and the last person that I need on the puzzle that I'm building is another me.
Right.
Exactly.
I'm already on that board when I have a gaping hole over here on the sales side or on the engineering side or wherever it may be. And that's why it's so difficult to be an entrepreneur, right? So if you ask me right now, with 28 years of hindsight in this space, I would say, hands down, 1 out of 20, 5% of the people have what it takes.
Right.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, right? We need great teachers. We need stay-at-home moms and fathers. We need great mentors, artists, musicians, etc. There's a room for everyone. But don't fool yourself when it comes to entrepreneurship. It's a world of pain. Right? Exactly. You have to be able to take a hit. We're talking about this, so it's a perfect segue into a perfect transition to talk about entrepreneurship and get right back up, right? The guy that Fraser talked about earlier about saying, hey, thank you, you hit me. this is the entrepreneur. I want that guy on my team, right? And I go one step further. I have him because I have 10 professional rugby players working inside a Uniqorn. Hence the segue. So I have one guy, love him, Georgian, big prop rugby player. If I don't hit him over the head once a day, he thinks there's something wrong with me.
Right.
Right? It's really, at first it's like, dude, I can't do this, right? I mean, I'm going to get written up, and so I'm going to end up in jail. Oh, you don't know, I get it, because he's got a different mentality. He's from Georgia, etc. At least give me some body contact, punch me a little bit, let me know you're alive, right? But this is kind of like the mentality that you need to have. So we're building a team where now with 50 plus people where, we all share that same vision. We understand a lot of camaraderie going around. I don't care where you're coming from. I don't care whether you're black, yellow, green, white. For me, that's all irrelevant. And that's kind of like the bullshit that, pardon my French, I'm a French guy, I can use some of those terms. This is kind of, let's be frank. You guys are suffering this on a daily basis, right? So when we're looking at this from our perspective, we're like, what the hell is going on here, right?
Right.
Come over,
Exactly.
right? There's people that actually do that. It's like, come over, because you're never going to have to deal with that crap ever in your life again, where everybody embraces each other. I don't care what color you are. What matters is your performance. What matters is what's inside, not what's outside, right?
Exactly.
And this is one of the main reasons why I came back to France, because I just couldn't stand that anymore either, right? Of just being labeled one way or another. And forget it, color is one thing, but also people try to box you into something.
Exactly.
And it's impossible to think outside the box if somebody puts you in a box.
Exactly.
Right? And to solve problems as entrepreneurs, what we have to do is we always have to think outside the box.
Exactly.
We always have to challenge the status quo, right? Because that's what makes us unsatisfied, right?
That's right.
I go to bed every single night. I have a very binary mind, problem and solution, right? So people bitching and moaning and whatnot, this problem, this problem, this problem. Okay, I can do that too all day long. How is that going to move you forward?
That's right.
100%.
How am I fix it? How am I fix it? That's all I want to hear.
There's not a single problem in this world, as Albert Einstein famously said. If you have a problem and you're coming to a politician to solve your problem, you now have two problems.
Exactly.
Right? So that's exactly the politician in my view, and I work with them locally here as well. I mentioned that same thing to them all the time, is the opposite of an entrepreneur. The politician will basically turn around the problem, dress it up in 27 different flavors, keep mentioning the problem as he will intend to resolve it post some election, without ever addressing the problem. It's almost like medicine. Right. If I'm an allopathic doctor, if Fraser comes to me with a heart condition, and if I solve it, I just lost the client.
Exactly.
He'll never come back. So what they're incentivized to do is to keep you coming back once or twice a month, write you another prescription, et cetera, et cetera. They have no no financial incentive ever to make you feel right and heal you, for lack of a better term. As a matter of fact, the word is actually, it's illegal in the terminology. You're not even allowed to use it because you're not allowed to heal.
Exactly.
You go to jail if you do it.
Well, that's just the modern culture. Fraser and I are sitting here soaking this up because we're both entrepreneurs ourselves. We met through real estate about 10 years ago. And, we both have been everything from the janitor to the CEO of a company. Some have failed, some have thrived. We've been able to successfully support ourselves and our families through things. And it's just refreshing that we have an expert like yourself on this show that's saying it in the terms that everybody understands, because a lot of people, when they hear entrepreneur, they hear the social media part of it and they get caught up in the commercials of this, that, and the third, and blah, blah, blah. They don't understand that it's a grind every day, And
it's a French word.
That's right. Entrepreneur. That's right. That's absolutely right. So really quick, as far as technology, what area of technologies are you interested in? Are you interested in, like, per se, internet, energy efficiency, construction? What areas really are you focusing in when it comes to technology?
It's a very good question, because today, with technology being pervasive, technology affects everything.
That's
right? Yeah. So if we just look, for example, we talked about the NFL earlier. Look at how we tracked metrics 30 years ago in the NFL versus today. Everything has become a live statistic that we refer to. It must be very, very frustrating being an athlete today, because you constantly have to worry about being on your best behavior, on and off the court, because you're being filmed. Everything is being tracked. You just missed a free throw. Now your stats took a hit. You may not get, you may not get drafted, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
It's super stressful.
Exactly.
So that being said, on our side, we're, yes, technology specialists. We only do tech. At the same time, we are laser focused on certain industries within the technology sector, such as financial technologies, also known as fintech. We're very actively involved in DeFi, decentralized finance, primarily in tokenization, which is affecting a lot of sports teams as well. So we're in the process of actually creating our token for Salah Rugby, for our rugby team.
Nice.
Nice.
Among others. We're in the process of launching a company called SportsX, which basically platformized everything we've done for the rugby club in terms of creating a brand new image, building engagement via social media, producing video content and making that video content go viral, generating international sponsorships for local teams, and putting that at the disposal of amateur teams in a David versus Goliath kind of metaphor, where you may not be a Goliath on the field yet, but at least the look and feel of your brand should make you a Goliath. When people go to your high school football team website, they should be no difference there from that versus seeing the Las Vegas Raiders, the New England Patriots, et cetera, and just in terms of perception of the image. Right. So very active in digital media, always have been. That's how I started. That's what got me to the US in the first place back in 1993. So most of my personal ventures, some of which failed, others that succeeded, that I resold, they were all in the digital media space, primarily digital marketing. And internally at Uniqorn, we have two facets. We have the Uniqorn brand, which is primarily early stage incubation, anywhere from creation of the corporate structure to legal structures, accounting, etc. And then we have the acceleration phase, which is handled by an internal company that we've created called Mobcast, which will allow you to scale and primarily acquire customers at scale. A perfect example would be, let's say you have a consumer, business to consumer mobile app. The entrepreneur comes to us, he's got a little bit of traction, he may have a couple thousand downloads. We validate the business model. We validate product market fit. We sit down. We come to an agreement. We have, for example, a pet tech deal right now called Doggies in Town that we're doing this for. We say, okay, there's clearly product market fit. There's clearly traction. What we'll help you do is we'll help you scale, go from 2,000 downloads to 1 million downloads, and here's how we're going to get there. Right? That's the core of what we do. The first question we ask ourselves, no matter what perimeter the deal falls in, whether it's renewable energy versus digital marketing, media, fintech, is how much value can we add and how fast? If we assess internally that we can have a direct and measurable impact on that company, that's when the negotiations begin. It's primarily an equity deal. Every deal that comes through our doors, I'm personally invested in. I do that for a number of reasons. Number one, I have more skin in the game, right? I put my money where my mouth is. I also have investors / co-investors that tend to follow me, so it makes it easier for that startup to raise incremental cash, which they all need, right? So we go through these check boxes. So we're very, very hands-on with everything we do. As a result of being hands-on, we have to be very picky because you cannot please everyone. We know that, right? I tried that 25 years ago. It didn't work, right? So I gave up over time, and ultimately we're looking, for 5-6 deals a year that we can really have a solid impact on.
Nice. So let me ask you. Wait, hold on, Fraser, real quick. As far as back to the media, real quick, in your media concept, have you guys looked into things like reality shows for the rugby to generate interest? Because one of the tools that the Ultimate Fighter used was the Ultimate Fighter reality show that really launched it nationally and internationally. And it seems like a lot of combat sports kind of fail there a little bit, either because they don't want to spend $1 million for the season or whatever it is. But did you guys ever look at a reality show to help build interest in your rugby product or other entertainment type products?
So it's super interesting question from a media perspective, because we're producing some of that content already. So, for example, we've produced some mini documentaries, the real life of a rugby player outside of the pitch, right? I think obviously when you're looking at Ultimate Fighter, UFC, etc., obviously you get a lot of these scrappers where it's just a cockfight where you tend to lose the human dimension, like who is the human behind the fighter,
Right.
which is always provides a lot of intrigue. And it also allows you to break through, especially with rugby. That's important because when we're talking about 12% of the worldwide population understanding the rule of rugby, the first thing that I said to my team as a marketer is, great, I'm not interested in the 12%. I'm interested in the 88%.
That's right.
And that's who I want to reach out to. So how do we do that? The first thing that we did is we produced in-gym segments with them working out, doing bench presses, doing 600-pound squats, et cetera, and we immediately realized there was immediately a lift because more people understand what that means than the rules of rugby, right? Then we showed them in specific parties, walking around in a historical town, because we in an amazing town dating back, our town is 1,000 years old. So the architecture, like walking downtown 200 yards behind me, is literally like walking back into Braveheart, right, into the movie. When they filmed the movie Joan of Arc, the only thing they did, took the cars out. Everything else was the same. If you look it up online, for those of you who are online, SARLAT, Sarlat in French, go to Google Images, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. But that, in my opinion, as a media entrepreneur, digital media entrepreneur, is the only way you're going to break through to the masses. The only way, as we all know, it's just a matter of eyeballs, right? The more eyeballs you aggregate, the more you can monetize, the deeper the monetization. So we're doing that at scale, using rugby as a unit of content that we're cutting up in multiple different flavors, as you mentioned, George, to bring it to the largest masses. And as a result of doing that, we're able to break through where others have not been able to break through, because what all of the professional rugby teams do is they fight for that 12%.
Right.
And they carve themselves out a tiny, tiny little fraction of that budget that's being spent on that. And I have no interest in that, right? It's far too competitive. And why would I do that when on the other side, you get this huge pie, the biggest slice of the pie I can tap right into without any worrying about the competition whatsoever.
Right. Absolutely. Good.
I was saying, question for you too, because NFL did a similar process, but the only difference, it did a little differently. First of all, they approached it as did, we're going to send you coaches. We're going to send you some of our players who didn't make the team, as in professionally, but had the same quality as the same athletes, to your side, and you build a team of that. You move more your NFL Europe. That was very popular for a while. That's how they integrated football, American football, into Europe.
Right.
And they did it that way for years. Then later on, they started putting games, like NFL team actually started going and actually performing and playing in London, France, other big stadiums, to integrate people that ate that little mass that didn't know about American football, thought it was the other opposite, to get them built aware of it. And did it all over the world, China, everywhere. So my saying that is, how you thought of doing a plan like that, implementing rugby, and then sending players that say like may not be caliber to your standard caliber, but to the States, and to teach and build teams here to compete with European teams. And then on what you do is cross over from European team to play American teams to build that camaraderie. So now you build actually a league where they can actually now travel and see other players and be aware of it. And at the same time, build a fan base upon that alone through Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, other efforts. Like, for instance, a team called 7-on-7, the Attacker Football League, and how they're implementing this through Instagram. You probably seen ads on Instagram or TikTok. It's a 7-on-7 right out of Fort Lauderdale, and they're basically doing the same thing. So my question is that, do you plan on doing something similar to that, and to integrate rugby to the States that way, to build fan base that way also?
There's no question that the American fan is one of our number one priorities. I'm going to have a lot of because as I'm redistributing this, so I'm going to be a little bit French here, right? Because I don't want to give away the secret Coca-Cola sauce, because I'm going to have a lot of, this segment is going to get a lot of mileage. So I'm going to try to dance a little bit around the question that you just asked me.
Okay.
By simply saying that what you just described is probably our number one objective. Okay. I'm not going to tell you how we're going to do it. I'm going to tell you offline how we're going to do it. We have a whole strategy that goes behind that. That's already in motion, but you hit the nail right on the head. Now, because rugby is developing very, very quickly in the US, we have a lot of contacts from MLR teams already. We're in the process of building a training academy as well, because as we move up in the ranks, we have to have one. Otherwise, you don't move up. Even if you qualify in the field, if you have that missing link, the league will not allow you to move up to the next level. And we have universities. That's what I thought was most interesting, because we're starting to be contacted by American universities, some very, very high-level ones, that send us some messages on LinkedIn and some emails and whatnot, basically saying, hey, guys, I understand what you're building over there with your rugby. You may have heard of our university. I'm not going to name them right now, but if I named them, you'd recognize them right away. Is there a way we could work together? As you know, it's very difficult for young kids to integrate a university like ours. However, if you have certain skills, athletic skills, you can get there, blah, blah, blah. We know what the story is like, right?
Exactly.
So they're already fishing, because they know that a lot of the great talent on the rugby side comes from Europe.
Right.
And they're definitely looking to siphon it up. So we absolutely will, in the midterm, meaning the next 6 to 18 months, have games between American teams and our team. That's already on deck. We will probably have our team as a visiting team to some of the franchises that are already in the MLR. We will bring them over here. So all of that is absolutely underway. And the way I foresee it in the future is for rugby to be able to pull something off that football tried to do but didn't necessarily achieve, like having a franchise in London, right?
Exactly.
Didn't work that well.
No.
Like playing a game just for shits and giggles in Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Yes, huge attendance, but we still waiting for the Mexico City NFL franchise.
Yeah.
Didn't really happen. I think that rugby could become that intercontinental contact sport that people can really follow no matter where they're from. And in fact, what we're trying to do with the Sala rugby team is what I believe the Dallas Cowboys were able to achieve in the NFL. Well, yes, some people hate the Cowboys. I don't know why. I could go either way. But overall, that has something to do with it. But I would say overall, I think we would all agree that if we're talking about America's franchise, that's the Dallas Cowboys, right? They're like if there was one team where we could say which NFL team represents America's team, well, love them or hate them, probably the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, the Cowboys.
Few would say the New York Giants, right? Et cetera, right? Very few.
Baseball, the exact same thing happened in baseball with the New York Yankees.
Exactly.
Okay? And the reason why I mention that is because one of the biggest problems I always feel that every professional team did is they didn't follow the blueprint. Steinbrenner was willing to pay the money to make a super team that did what the Yankees had done. He followed that blueprint. Dallas Cowboys were willing to build. First people to ever build, I think, $1 billion stadium to say, hey, this is who we are and this is what we do. And we are the Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys. Being from West Africa, everybody knew who the Dallas Cowboys were. Everybody knew who was since, who the Cardinals were or who, this, that, and the third. But everybody knew the Cowboys, so it was a great branding and marketing strategy. And they weren't afraid to spend the money to do it.
Yeah. Look, what we're trying to do at our level currently is to ultimately be the Cowboys of rugby.
Right.
This is really what we're shaping up to be. Look, you may hate us, but you're going to know us. Right.
Exactly.
And, if there's one team that you're rooting for, we're already getting this right now with people following us from India, from Pakistan, from all over the world. Wow, didn't know rugby. I found out about rugby, about your content on Instagram, on Facebook, etc. You're my team, right? Boom, They follow us. We get these messages all day long. So we know it can be done, and it can be done at scale, right? Obviously, in India, it's primary cricket, number one. I don't know the rules of cricket, right? No. But I can bring him rugby content all day long at the small per unit cost, much lower than, let's say, if I wanted to go to the US or even doing it in France. But I can build a massive fan base, and it's like going straight through butter.
Exactly.
Right.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Most of the countries like that is thriving for entertainment, striving for ways to get youth into doing something other than hanging on the streets, doing other things.
And they're much more loyal. They're much more
Yes.
loyal to the brand,
Exactly.
right?
I would say Brazil. But the best player on Brazil team was from the urban part of Brazil. He was part of the poor part of Brazil. And he considered the best player in soccer in the world. He was considered the best player.
Yeah.
And he was from urban neighborhood. And I was saying too, that's another thing I was saying too. Rugby, when I grew up, we played street ball, which is very considered close to rugby.
Yeah.
If you introduce that to an urban neighborhood, your fan base probably would triple because the fact of the matter is it's always something they play already.
Right.
And if you're similar to it, all you do is teach them the rules. And once you teach the rules, they'll be like, wait, so I can hit you and I don't get penalized for it? Because American football, you get penalized now for certain hits. The hits were legal 20 years ago are not legal anymore. So,
but that also has to do with technology, phrase.
No pass interference in rugby.
Exactly.
Right.
So
no, like oh my god. I mean, he touched me.
Exactly. Yeah, he hit me heavy hard. He killed me. No, but that's what I'm saying. That's why I say rugby could be the best new sport that hit the States because of that fact reason, other than MMA. Because MMA, for what I know MMA until I watched a couple of backyard fights. Like, wait, interesting. Then a lot of backyard fighters went to MMA.
51 minutes into this conversation, I got the biggest advocate right in the middle of the screen. I love it.
Hey, true.
Hired.
I'm a hitter. I'm a hitter. So I'm 100% hitter. So I know me personally would love rugby because that's me. I'm a hitter. I'm a person like this. I hit you with respect. I love you later. But on the field, we ain't friends. We're not friends.
You're gonna get a lot of that on my team. The nicest guys off the field are the hardest hitters on the field.
Exactly. Because we had a motto. I train my players. I say you had to differentiate yourself from off the field and on the field. Off the field, you're the nicest person on the person because you don't want to fight involve codes or get in trouble. But on the field, perfectly legal.
Wax on, wax off.
There you go. Wax it on, whoop your behind. Wax it off. Hey, how you doing?
The funny thing is, that's why Frazier and I work, because I'm different. I'll be on the field. You're not going to chase me. I got that 100-yard dash. If you can catch me in 100 yards, God bless you. If not, not me. I'm not taking too many hits like that.
Hey, I got one motto. Between 20 yards, you got to beat me. If you can't get past me at 20 yards, we got a problem because you ain't getting past me. Lateral, roll longer, you ain't getting past me. Now, if you manage to, then I'm going to have to run you down.
That's right.
And I'll tell you, crazy thing ever. Our first day I'm playing a team, matter of fact, it was a semi-pro. It was a ex-football player named Battle. Played for a semi-pro team. They cheated because they weren't supposed to have an NFL team player on their roster, knowingly on their roster. So we were playing, and our offensive line, he threw an interception. And he ran 80 yards back. I ran him down. All you heard the coach saying, "You slow. You NFL. How you let a big guy catch you? You better run." And I hit him out of bounds. And the ref said he was out of bounds. Everybody said he cleared out of bounds. Not him out of bounds. So
and that's how George and Frazier met. It was George.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Hey,
you was catching me. I told you 100 yards. What I tell you?
And
listen.
The biggest asset. I'll tell you, the biggest asset was to be able to disguise yourself as being a big man, but at the same time have speed of a smaller man.
That's right.
That's my weakness. That's my great strength. You look at me. Oh yeah, he big and hit, but can he run? Then I can run. That's making it worse. My coach always said was the most worst person or greatest enemy is a person who's bigger, faster, and stronger. That's what my part was. You gotta be bigger, faster, and stronger. You can be small. We know you can run. But if you big, if you look at me now, you're like, and look at George. 9 out of 10, George probably said beat me. If it hands down, you said George beat me. But we're on a football field, not the same thing.
And if you're smart, you're never going to show up.
I'm always showed up for battle. I love
absolutely. Too funny.
Oh,
Dom, we're running out of time, and we love this conversation. Absolutely. But I want to ask you for some tips. What tips would you have for people trying to pitch you? I know you get hundreds of proposals and contacts a day. What are some tips that you can give them before they actually press enter or pick up the phone and call you?
Yeah, you get some great questions here, but I think that's probably the most important. I think the key term here is be different. If you're not different, you're not going to break through. So the kid that I talked to you about, the Russian kid that just showed up on my doorstep after contacting me, he was definitely way different. He didn't send me a FedEx box. He didn't send me a bomb via email or whatnot. He showed up on my doorstep, and I knew where he was coming from. So I'm like, whoa, at least I'm going to give him the time of the day because, it's just unbelievable what he did.
Exactly.
Usually, to define what I mean by be different is if we're watching the news, dog bites man, that's not news. Man bites dog, that's news. Right? So you have to be able to craft. Everybody's talking about the elevator pitch. Yes, you need to have the elevator pitch, but you first have to be allowed to give the elevator pitch. So you gotta have a hook point, right? That clearly delineates you from all the other stuff that we're hearing and seeing all day long as to why I would be paying attention in the first place. So craft that hook point. We're all unique as individuals by definition. So what makes you unique, and get that point across as quickly as possible, which will then, if you're successfully doing it, open up the door to a further conversation, right? So before the elevator pitch, there should be a hook point. Tell me what makes you unique as an individual and why I should listen to more, right?
Exactly.
And I can't. There's no given formula because we're all so different, right?
Exactly.
You can come to me, for example, and say, I believe I'm the most resilient person in the world, and I want to prove it to you. At least I'm going to say, well, that's interesting. How? Right? And then you're going to have to set the second part and actually tell me the how before I tune out and move on to my merry way. Right?
Exactly.
But you have to be able to role play. You have to be able to break through. And by sounding like everybody else, give you one example. 100 messages I get on LinkedIn a day, they just send me a deck. Well, I don't care what the deck is. I might be missing out on next Facebook. Frankly, I don't care because it means nothing to me because I'm getting 100 other ones. Which one? How would I know whether to pay attention to this one versus the other one? Right.
Exactly.
Then sometimes I get a hi, John. Well, I'm already out. My name is Dom. My name is not John. Right. Bad cut and paste. Right. So next. Right. But every so often you see something that we all know this because we're on the receiving side. At least give me an ounce of respect and show me that you've actually done a little bit of research about what we do. And maybe say, I went through your website or went through an article that you wrote and I noticed that you said this, right? Well, now you showed me that you've actually invested a little bit of time doing some research on me or what we do as a company. I'm going to feel bad if I don't give you at least the equivalent in return, right? And now you get me hooked. Now you get me engaged. That's the golden rule, I would say, first and foremost, when you're actually trying to pitch anyone, whether it's an investor or someone else. The other thing, which we briefly touched upon earlier, is the ability of learning how to build a team and thinking beyond yourself, right? There are millions of people around us that we don't know that are smarter, stronger, more driven than we are, okay? You've heard this before. You have to be the dumbest person in the room, right? Sometimes you're not, but work towards that, right? It's okay to be a little bit smarter than the person next door, but if you really want to succeed, you want to surround yourself with very, very sharp people that can actually bring your project to fruition. People that are execution minded, right? The last person I need on my team is someone who basically brings up and raises the problem that we're looking to solve.
Exactly.
And I think one interesting trend you see in the tech space that's somewhat concerning today is when I started my first business 28 years ago, it was very expensive to launch a tech business. So you had to be more careful. You had to raise money. It took longer, a lot more work, a lot more time, a lot more investment. Today, look, in 5 minutes, we can create a business because bandwidth is almost zero. The equipment is free. MySQL database software is free. When back then, I used to pay $32,000 for an instance in the late 90s. But as a result of this democratization and demonetization of the process, every fool can launch a business, and that's not necessarily good, right?
True.
So what we're seeing very often are people are actually creating the problem that they ultimately intend to resolve. I'm sorry to say, I tune out. We got plenty of problems left on the table to solve. You don't need to create a new one that I've never heard of and then say down the line, I'm going to solve it. But I see this very, very often today, right?
Yeah.
And maybe it's just me getting older, You know, if I let it grow, I look like Fraser here. See, it's the same color.
Come on, join the bandwagon. Join the bandwagon.
But I guess, you know, because slowly the clock's ticking, time is eventually going to run out. I'm a little more, you know, impatient, you know.
Exactly.
Right.
Instead of getting more patient, some people get more patient with age. For me, it's the opposite. You know, my clock is ticking. You know, get to the point. A little bit of New York attitude on that that side. And so, you know, very little patience for people that actually leverage technology and do not intend to resolve a real problem. You know, if you want to be a billionaire, very simple recipe: help a billion people.
That's right.
Exactly. That is true. So tell everybody where they can find you at if they want to reach out to you and try to get an investment or try to get your attention.
Yeah. Well, first of all, if you come meet me in person, October 1, 2, and 3, startupsupercup.com. It's an event we're organizing 300 yards behind my office right here. We'll bring together roughly 800 accredited investors from around the world. If you have a startup that you want to pitch, that's one great way. October 1, 2, 3, startupsupercup.com. Look me up by name on LinkedIn, Dom, D-O-M, Einhorn, which by the main means unicorn in German, is my last name, E-I-N-H-O-R-N. I'm the only Dom Einhorn on LinkedIn, so easy to find. It's not like John Adams. So don't call me John when you contacted me. I think I made that clear a little bit earlier.
Yes, then, super crystal.
Last but not least, where is my unicorn? There is my unicorn right there.
Okay,
unicorn with a Q. Unicorn, play on words. Unicornincubator.com is the website, and my email is dom, D-O-M, at unicornincubator.com.
Nice.
Don, listen, we want to thank you for being on the show and sharing this knowledge with us and just having a conversation with us. We greatly appreciate you taking the time out of the day to talk to us, and we definitely look forward to having you again, maybe when you launch your token and you get some more other things happening. We definitely
would love to be. Look, and you guys are more than welcome to come pay us a visit anytime. Again, there are worse places to visit than the south of France. Trust me.
That's true.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But,
anytime. Fraser, we need a lock. How tall are you?
Well, me, I'm only 5'10".
Oh, you can still play lock, but we'll find a spot on the roster for you. No problem.
Sounds good for me. I like that.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna tell you about this one here.
Don, we appreciate you.
Welcome to the family.
Definitely appreciate you.
Welcome to our family, Don.
Likewise. Thanks, guys. Pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure to bless.
Told you we got a banger. Told you we had a banger. If you get some of those tips.
Did you hear George? I go for a job, baby.
That's right. Going to the south of France. But it's definitely all good. Wow. Listen, everybody, we want to thank you. Check us out for our next show. We'll be putting it up shortly tomorrow, if not more. But we want to thank Don for coming on the show. Check out Uniqorn. Check them out on LinkedIn. Hey, it was George.
Hey, this is Fraser.
And this is Real Talk with George and Fraser. Peace.
Peace.